Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Disney bride Steph Pollock about her ceremony at the Wedding Pavilion with a reception at California Grill and a dessert party at France in EPCOT. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how she chose these locations and how she planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Steph.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
Thanks so much for being on the show today. I always like to start at the very beginning and find out how you and your fiancé decided that you wanted to have your wedding at Disney.
I've always dreamed of a Disney wedding. Didn't know if it was going to happen or not. And then when we got engaged, I started researching prices, and we're from Long Island. It's very expensive to have a wedding on Long Island. And it turned out Disney weddings were very on par with a local wedding. So I kind of was just like, hey, would you mind doing a destination wedding? And he's like, depends where. I said, Disney. He's like, okay, I'm in. So then we just went with Disney from there.
That's awesome. How did your friends and family react when they found out where the wedding was going to be?
My family wasn't surprised at all. I've been going to Disney every year, at least once a year for 20 years or so. His family was very excited. He has some family in Florida, so it worked out for them. And then everyone else was just excited to have a giant family vacation and a giant family reunion. So everyone was very excited.
That's wonderful. How many guests did you invite and how many were able to make the trip?
We invited about 90, 95 people and about 82 came. So a good portion of our guests came.
Wow. Did you set up a room block for your guests?
We did. We actually set them all up at the Yacht Club, Caribbean Beach, and Pop Century to have everybody sort of connected in a central location, which was really nice.
Oh, that's great. And then how did you choose the day of the week and time of day for your event?
So we knew we wanted California Grill for a brunch reception during the daytime, especially with our amount of people. So we originally actually wanted a Sunday. And at the time when we were planning, before anything was locked in, I actually inquired because California Grill usually used to do a Sunday brunch before the shutdowns and everything. And I inquired about that. If they started it, what would happen? I was told it's a 50-50 chance if they'd let me keep it, or if we'd have to eventually go somewhere else. So we kind of stuck with the Sunday, December 3rd. And then Disney actually started opening up restaurants probably a month or two into the planning. And I was like, I can't do this. So we actually moved it to Tuesday to guarantee that we wouldn't have to move, because the Sunday was just too risky. With my luck, I was going to have to end up moving at some point. So the Tuesday at 9:30 is how we got decided, all because of California Grill.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that can be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep it as stress-free as possible for me. So I was like, we're going to move it because I can't live with the anxiety for the next year and a half.
That's smart. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how you decided you wanted California Grill in the first place and then how you chose the Wedding Pavilion for the ceremony?
Sure. So Matt and I love California Grill. It's our favorite restaurant. It's my family's favorite restaurant. We took his parents there. They love it. It's the ambiance up there, the views, everything up there is just so amazing. And we wanted to share that with our guests. So really we knew from the get-go, our one set location was going to be California Grill. And because we wanted the brunch and the main dining room, it had to be a brunch / or breakfast reception. So we were kind of limited with park options or the Wedding Pavilion, I believe. We might have been able to do Oak Manor as well. So we decided our ceremony, we wanted something indoors with bathrooms nearby, especially for we had a few little kids there. We had some older adults and elderly with grandparents and stuff. So we definitely wanted something very convenient for our guests. And our options were really more outside venues or park venues that were super early, or the Wedding Pavilion at 9:30. So we kind of just went with the 9:30. It was super convenient for everybody and it worked out great.
That's wonderful. And then how did you choose the upper terrace in France for your dessert party?
I wanted Italy, but we were too small of a guest count for the bigger Italy Isola. And because of the candlelight processional, we couldn't use Isola West. So we were kind of told basically our options were France or I want to say Mexico Vista, but we preferred France. And it worked out because we had a lot of convenience going in from the International Gateway. And it really was nice that we had both levels since we had the top level reserved, but the bottom level was empty. So we were able to go there for pictures and have a little more privacy there with guests looking at us. But everyone loved it. And it was just a nice open area. And we were really glad we had the France for our dessert party.
That's interesting. I've been asking guests about this because when they first stopped letting couples use the lower French area because they won't do food there anymore, they were saying you could add it on to the upper if you paid a fee. Did they charge you a fee?
They didn't. It was just actually Matt and I went down during the fireworks for photos and video with our photographers and videographers. None of our guests went down there, but they didn't have a problem with us. We just kind of walked down there and that was really it.
Got it. Okay. So did you guys use outside vendors for any portions of your event that you were able to?
So starting at the beginning of the day, we had hair and makeup. We had Stacy Otto, and I absolutely love Stacy. She's such a joy to work with, so much energy, and I really wanted something natural, makeup-wise at least, and she was able to pull that off. She worked very well with everybody's hair. Everyone has different hair lengths, hair types, and everyone absolutely loved her. We did day of coordination with Fairy Tales and Wedding Bells. And they basically set everything up for us, took it down, and was there pretty much almost the whole day with us, making sure everyone was good and ready to go. Photography, we had That First Moment. Claire and Rob are very well known in the Disney circle, but they very much deserve all the recognition. We absolutely love them and their energy, and they're just great people. And then finally, we had videography with Merrily Married. We actually added that on last minute. We weren't sure if we were going to do it until one day I was like, I'm going to regret not doing video. So we hired Merrily Married, and Nick and Prince are just phenomenal. We love them. Between the 4 media groups, Prince, Nick, Claire, and Rob, it was just a great group. We actually spent 10 minutes just talking to them at the dessert party. I cannot sing all their praises enough.
That's awesome. How did you choose your officiant?
So we went by Disney's list, and then I kind of looked at reviews, and we knew we didn't want something very religious. We're both not very super religious in our day-to-day life. So we went with Reverend Kevin Knox, who is spoken very highly of in any Facebook group, Disney group. You'll see great reviews about him, and he didn't disappoint. He added humor in a very cohesive way. He was very on top of it. He improvised when we didn't do a rehearsal. So he improvised when we kind of maybe had a little slip up here and there, and he was just great, and we loved him.
Did you guys add any kind of entertainment to the ceremony or the reception?
So for the ceremony, we just stayed with the organist at the Wedding Pavilion, and then for the reception, we did a DJ, and we added Mickey and Minnie in holiday outfits. They're fun red and white outfits. And we surprised our guests with that, so they were super excited, especially the little kids were freaking out.
Who was your DJ?
Our DJ was Steve Weinstein, and he was fantastic. He interacted with all our guests throughout the day. One of our friends had a walking boot on, and he even said, if the girl in the boot could be on the dance floor, anybody could be on the dance floor. He instructed a push-up contest at one point. He was great.
Now, sometimes people are wary of using California Grill because you have to stick with their menus, but there are chances to do swaps and bring in certain items. Can you talk a little bit about what your favorite menu items were and how you worked within those restrictions?
Sure. So originally, we actually went with the advice of trying to take items off. We felt for the price of what certain things were coming off as, it wasn't worth it for us to take them off. I think it was 2 items were coming off at $5 a person total, and it just made no sense to us to take that off. So we kept pretty much the menu as is. I think I just changed the salad. At the time, it was a garden salad with yuzu croutons, a dressing, and a few other things in it. I changed that to a regular Caesar salad, which I think now they changed it fully to a Caesar salad on the newer menus. But we basically kept the regular menu the same. We did take out the dessert trio, though, and that was mainly because we had a lot of nut allergies, so we were staying completely nut-free. So, and I think every dessert had some sort of nut in it, so we were just take that out. It's not worth having. And then we added Mickey waffles to kind of replace that, to kind of give guests more options if they needed. And they were, honestly, I just wanted Mickey waffles because they're amazing. And then we just had our cake from there. And it wasn't the easiest trying to swap items. Like, I really wanted to add the short rib wontons. And at the time, they weren't on any of the catering reception menus. So they were very adamant we could not add them. But in the end, we had a lot of food. So I was fine with it. Everything was phenomenal. We loved the food there. So we knew we were in good hands, even if we couldn't mix and match and get as much off as we wanted. But it worked out and everyone loved the food.
That's great. Do you have any cake flavors you would recommend?
Both Matt and I picked the flavor. We did 2 flavors. So he chose the chocolate cake with cookies and cream buttercream. And then I chose the French toast cake with the maple white chocolate buttercream. And the chocolate cake was, I think, the overall favorite by our guests. Like, even people who are like, I don't like chocolate cake, but this chocolate cake is phenomenal. The French toast cake was very mixed reviews. It wasn't super sweet. So a lot of people who like sweet cakes were kind of hesitant toward it. It was more cinnamony, which I like cinnamon, and we had people who love cinnamon who loved it. So I definitely recommend both, especially if you have people who don't love sweet cake. The French toast cake was more spice, I guess, based than it is the sweet.
That's interesting. That's a great tip. As someone who doesn't understand not liking sweet cake, I would never have guessed that. So that's good to know.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little shocked. I was like, oh, this is more cinnamon than like the vanilla maple flavor I was expecting. And again, like, some people, it was very hit or miss with some people, but I know Matt's aunt isn't really big on sweet cake, but she loved the French toast cake.
Okay, that's a great option. Can you talk a little bit more about your dessert party in France, what kind of food you added, and whether you did a ride mix-in?
So our menu items for our dessert party we did chicken nuggets, corn dog nuggets, and tater tots for savory items. And then for the sweeter items, we had cookies and cream whoopie pies, chocolate chip cookies from Biergarten in Germany, and apple tartlets, as well as the Mickey ice cream novelties cart. And then we did a ride mix-in at Soarin right after the fireworks.
Oh, that's great. And did I see you mention that your party ended up being the first night of Luminous?
It was, and we don't know how that was just a stroke of luck, because we had this booked since, I think, before they even announced Harmonious was ending. We had it booked since last December, and then September at D23, they're like, December 5th is going to be the first night of Luminous. And I remember freaking out. I was like, we don't get this luck anywhere. Like, especially for all our guests, it was such a special moment that we got to all share that together. And everyone was so excited to have it, especially a private space to view it, because it was so crowded that night. And having that private space and just a place to sit and watch it, or for the kids to kind of run around and not have to wait against the railing, was super nice.
That's wonderful. And then can you tell my listeners a little bit about your welcome party?
Yes. So we had our welcome party at the Boardwalk Inn Gardens, which was outside near their quiet pool, which was really nice because even though it's technically a public space, it's super private since it's kind of hidden away. And it was really nice because we had a lot of space for, like, again, we had a few kids. Most of them were under 7. They were able to run around and I gave them bubble wands in their welcome bags. They were able to play with those. And it was a nice, more casual vibe for us, which we really liked, almost like a garden party. And then for that menu, we had a lot of standout foods, I will say. We had mac and cheese, teriyaki chicken bayo buns from Food and Wine Festival, bacon wrapped scallops. We had cheeseburger egg rolls, and then we did, for the dessert, the chocolate bread pudding from Food and Wine as well. And I will say all the food was fantastic, and pretty much everyone was raving about all the food that night.
That's great. What day did you do the welcome party in relation to when the wedding was?
So our wedding was Tuesday. We did our welcome party on Monday from 3 to 5. So it was still a little earlier. So this way people had time if they wanted to go to a park after, they can, or like if you're like me and had to get to bed super early, I could have. And it was a nice time period, and it wasn't too hot. It was nice in the shade, and it was a great, like, little space for that.
That's fantastic. Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the wedding day ran?
So I woke up super early for our hair and makeup. I was up by 2:15 that morning, I think. And then we did, again, hair and makeup. And then the guys got picked up around 7 from the yacht club. And then the girls got picked up at about 7:30 from the beach club. And then from there, I actually ordered we had a shuttle van picking us all up, the luxury van. So because we were one person over for the girl, they actually ordered a minivan for the little kids and one of the moms to take, which was really nice. And it worked out perfectly because I got the super fun ride with Disney music to go to at the super early time. And then we did our first look at Sag OK, which was really nice because it was super private. And then we did our photos at the Grand, followed by our ceremony. And then instead of a staged exit after our ceremony, we did family photos with our extended families because we knew we wanted those, which was really nice because we didn't have to take time away from the reception to do it. And then we headed over to our reception where we had a lot of fun. And then the characters came out and surprised our guests around cake cutting, which was super fun. And then we headed back to the hotel we had about a 3-hour gap, but that gap went so quickly. Like I thought I'd have time to do things or take a nap, and it did not happen. And then we met up at 7:15, 7:30 for the dessert party where we walked in. Fireworks were at 9:30 that night. And then we had to let it clear a little bit because there were just so many people that night. But then we were escorted over to Soarin where we took our ride along. And we entered backstage, got the whole ride experience, which was super fun, and our guests loved it. And then we exited the park from there.
That's wonderful. So when you were planning, what were some of the most important aspects where you focused your attention or your budget?
Our most important aspect was guest experience. Like Matt and I love Disney. My family in particular loves Disney. His family likes Disney. So we wanted to give our families who don't get to go often the best experience possible. Like everything that makes a Disney wedding unique is what we wanted. That's really my second thing, is just the unique aspects of a Disney wedding are really where we focused everything, from the fireworks to the dessert parties. The Wedding Pavilion itself is just a fantastic place. The California Grill with the views and just watching everything and seeing fireworks go off from the Magic Kingdom stage show is just amazing. And then I'm going to say those were like the first two things, more guest experience and unique Disney aspects. And then the third thing was convenience. We really wanted this day to be very convenient for our guests. We purposely chose our room block to be accessible to everybody. We had transportation picking everybody up. We had a lot of people staying at the Dolphin, and we were able to get our shuttle bus able to pick them up too, which was really nice. And we tried, again, providing everything we could for our guests. So this way they were able to experience, especially the wedding day, since it was such a long day, they were able to really do everything and not have to worry about transportation or what time everything is, and just kind of have it all in one.
That's great. Were there any aspects that were less important where you maybe saved your money or your effort?
So definitely floral. I'm not a big flower person to begin with. So we kind of did, I'm not going to say minimal floral, but wherever we didn't need floral, especially like the Wedding Pavilion, you really don't need that much in there. California Grill, the same thing. Like I didn't want to obstruct the views. So we just kind of did smaller centerpieces and smaller floral. We really didn't need a ton, which was nice. And then we reused things for the dessert party that night as well, like the cylinders and stuff, which was really cool. Like another one was signage and decor. I got a lot of our signs from Zazzle actually, because it was one of those things where I knew I wasn't going to keep it. And if I didn't want to spend a ton of money on something that was just pretty much going to collect dust or just kind of get thrown out. So a lot of it I got through Zazzle, which was really reasonable. And then I was watching for sales and was able to get like frames from Michael's on sale for like Black Friday. They had extra coupons and stuff. So that everything turned out super nice and kind of, it actually coordinated with our colors, which kind of helped. And then since we did the dessert party, one of the reasons we did just the cake at the reception was because we were able to have more desserts later. We had a whole nother party. So I feel like I didn't have to do a ton of desserts at one time, and Jahan had spread them out.
That's a good tip. What ended up being your favorite memory of your wedding day?
Oh my God, there's so many. Definitely marrying Matt, but one of the bigger ones is going to be just the fireworks that night. And not even just at night. We were actually taking pictures in the Wedding Pavilion after the ceremony, and we're looking out one of the windows, and all of a sudden the fireworks from the stage show at Magic Kingdom just went off. And it was just so cool to have that. It was a very private moment where it was very surreal. And it was unexpected, and it took us all by surprise that it was going off. And we have it on video, and even someone's like, did they Photoshop them? We're like, no, it happened to be at that same time. And it was just so magical. And I think too, like, even that night, the fireworks are just amazing. Just knowing that, again, Luminous premiering that night, and it feels like almost like it was very surreal, especially having that private space to watch it. And especially that we were able to go down to the lower portion of France was very just special especially to me. And then even seeing the pictures, like I see pictures from the dessert party and seeing, especially the kids' faces in some of those photos, it's like the look of pure joy. And it just made the whole like day worth it, like seeing all those firework photos and just the experiences everyone got.
That's amazing. Did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
So there were like 2 or 3 things that I'm going to say they went wrong, but they also like our guests didn't notice. So I kind of just played off and kind of addressed it afterward. I will say definitely know your BEO inside and out, because we actually, through your podcasts and through like different venues, we knew to take out the water bottles from bill on consumption bars at events. So we had bill on consumption at our welcome party and dessert party, and at both they served the water bottles that we said not to serve. So again, it was one thing I just kind of made a mental note of it, and then afterward I was like, hey, just so you know, they kind of served these. They weren't in the BEO. They said, don't worry about it. Like that was their mistake. And the only other thing was the gap in the dessert party. Because of the fireworks and the crowds that week, they moved the fireworks from 9 to 9:30. But they didn't move our dessert party time back. So we still had to be at EPCOT by 7:30, I believe. They wouldn't move that party back to 8, and they also wouldn't move the food service. But they told me that things would kind of be staggered, and they didn't do that really. So there was kind of a little bit of a gap, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, people noticed there was a gap that wasn't supposed to be there, but I did bring glow sticks for all like the little kids, and it kept like that a lot of the kids engaged and going, and it kept like a lot of the guests going. And like they got like we were passing out glow sticks everywhere, so everyone had something to do.
Interesting. So like they were closing up the food stations before the fireworks started?
Yeah, so the way it should have worked, like if the fireworks stayed at 9, the food would close at 8:45 or something like that. So there would be like only a 15-minute gap, but they moved them to 9:30, and they still stopped food service around 8:45-ish, between 8:45 and 9. So we had a little bit of a gap.
Interesting.
I mean, it wasn't ideal, but again, nobody minded it because, again, it was super late at night too. The main thing was that the hot chocolates and the coffee and tea were still out. So
that's great. Was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about, and then it turned out not to be a big deal?
Oh, God, that's everything. I'm very detail oriented. So a lot of the details are things I was stressing about. But at the end of the day, I'm the only one who really noticed if they happened or not. So definitely not something to really stress over. I mean, some things people did notice and were like, that's really cute. But some things I put a lot of mental energy in, and it just didn't need to. I could have saved that mental energy. And then the other two, I'm going to say, were the transportation. I was very nervous about how that was going to work out, and kind of stressed over how many people are going to be on the bus. And I had pages of where people were staying and who's going to take what. And in the end, everything worked out. Everyone made their way there. If they missed the bus, I didn't know it. They found their way to where they needed to be, and it all worked out. And then the other one was the room block. I was very stressed going into that. But I will say our room block specialist was very good. Like if I had a question, she was answering me in like 20 minutes. I hopped on the phone because we actually did have issues at the beginning with our room block where they were telling guests that there were no rooms available when nothing's been booked yet. So she hopped on, she addressed it with us, and from there it was smooth sailing. She always kept me updated, and it was literally made one of the probably most stressful parts of this wedding that people can't, like, I can't wrap my mind around. Very easy and very good to go. And yeah, those are the 3 things. Is the details, again, unless you share those details, nobody's going to notice them except for you. So don't go crazy like I might have, because I can go very detail crazy. The transportation and the room blocks were very much organized and good to go.
That's great to hear. Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
I definitely would have spoken up more during planning. I'm one of those people who doesn't like to make waves. If you tell me something can't be done, I'm going to sort of accept the answer. But there's certain things where I probably should have spoken up or advocated for myself more. And just knowing how planning went, definitely standing up for yourself, especially if it's something you really want. Not to be like demanding, but like knowing through the podcast and the what Facebook groups and the book, like what can be done, and sort of sticking up for yourself to make sure you get your vision and to get what you want done that day. Because again, we didn't really, I don't want to say we didn't ask for much, because we kind of just went with the what flow, and if they tell us no, they told us no. But there's certain things I kind of wish I was like, no, that's not right. I would really like it if we could do this instead. And that's definitely something, it was a learning experience for me on how to really step up, stand up for myself, and sort of make it known like, hey, no, this is really what we want. And is there any way we can get this done?
Do you have any other tips or advice for future Disney couples?
I do. So one of them is definitely going to be to trust your gut when planning. If something doesn't feel right, definitely question it and don't feel like you're bothering the planners. I questioned our cake probably 4 or 5 times, and something just didn't sit right with me in cake math. I still don't understand cake math. As an example, we wanted 1 slice of each flavor on each plate. We had 2 flavors. And there was a miscommunication all throughout our BEO about it and I questioned it probably 4 or 5 times about, is there going to be enough cake if it's just the 2 layers and the half sheet cake? Is it going to be enough cake? Is it going to be enough cake? I'm like, I don't understand cake math. This doesn't make sense. Until finally something clicked and my planner was like, wait, you want both flavors? And I said, yes. So it's one of those things where if something doesn't seem right, the pricing doesn't seem right, or just communication doesn't seem right, definitely, again, stand up for yourself. This is where I learned to stand up for myself and to sort of keep questioning and not to feel like I'm bothering them, because they're there for us as much as they can be, and they do want us to have what we want. So just constantly questioning why I can't do this, why is this happening, just to get a full answer, I think definitely helps. Because even with reception pricing too, bringing the price down, I kept questioning it. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right, until finally they realized, oh, wait, we didn't add this to one of the things you wanted to take away. It's one of those things you do have to, it goes into standing up for yourself, and you have to really trust your gut. And if something isn't sitting well with you, like keep questioning, keep going, and just until you get a full, complete answer that makes sense. Because again, cake math, I still don't understand, and it's been a while. It's been a while. And then I do have one other tip: is definitely plan time to relax and don't overplan yourself, because I did that. I was planning the Christmas party. I was planning the Jollywood nights, all these different things, spending time with people. I skipped Jollywood. I took a nap. I was taking naps everywhere. It's such an exhausting day, and the few days are filled with stress, just running around trying to get everything done, that definitely plan time to relax and to sort of just take everything in, because there's a ton. You're going to be up early. You're going to be running around for 2 or 3 days, especially if you're doing park shoots. You're going to be up super duper early. So definitely take that time to relax and just sort of enjoy it all.
That's great advice. Well, Steph, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and advice for anyone who's interested in getting married at Walt Disney World, and I appreciate your taking the time.
No, thank you for having me. Your guide, your website, the podcast are just such a great wealth of information. I'm so glad to be able to help anybody else with their Disney wedding planning.
I'm so glad you found them helpful.
I sent the guide to my mom. I sent it to Matt's mom. I constantly had it up. I literally had tabs of the website up to constantly reference, especially when like my California Grill menu suddenly just stopped working that Disney sent me. I'm like, well, Carrie has them, and I'm putting them up on my thing. I had so many things up. Like everything you do is just so great and so helpful, and it's invaluable.
Oh, that's awesome. That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.